She spent a lifetime overweight and finally said, you know what? I'm done with this. I'm closing the chapter on this struggle and starting the chapter on the rest of my life. Meet my client Laura, who successfully released over 20 pounds and finally feels free from the yo-yo dieting cycle. Laura had spent almost the entirety of her life overweight and had been yo-yo dieting for over 7 years by the time that we met. She successfully released over 20 pounds and finally has achieved food freedom. She doesn't feel controlled by diets and food anymore and really feels like, all right, I've got this now. She can close the chapter on weight and food struggles and start the chapter that is the rest of her life. Let's talk to Laura. So, Laura, we did the Slim on Starch program together, and then we did the master's program together. So we've known each other for a good 8 months. It's been such a joy to watch your journey. You were fantastic to work with, and you're a lifelong friend. So I'm really excited to have you here. And why don't we take it from the very beginning? Because this goes way, way back for you. You said you were overweight your entire life. So where does it all start?
Yeah, I mean, literally for as long as I can remember, I was overweight. One of like the first things that I really remember where like being overweight really hurt me, like myself. Like, I mean, I knew that I was, but like the first time I really remember being overweight is like I was at this place called Peter Piper Pizza with my grandma and my cousins. They like talked about basically they were wanting me to step on a scale and they wanted to see how much I weighed. So, it's definitely been something that's affected me my whole life. It's been something that's affected my confidence. It's been just something that has been like such a focus my whole life. Like, it's just like my life has revolved around feeling like I just wasn't good enough, not being confident in myself. And then like when I graduated from high school and I spent my first year in college, I gained like 15 pounds and I was already over 200 pounds. So I was at like 217 pounds as my highest weight. And I was like, I have to do something about this. So I cut calories and I was eating like 1,200 calories a day. I was like starving myself. And I lost 60 pounds. So it worked, right? But I was not able to like maintain it. I was constantly yo-yoing back and forth. Like probably the lowest I ever was able to stay sane for maybe like a couple of weeks. It's like 155 pounds and then all the way up to like 170 pounds. So I just fluctuated like 15 pounds for like 7+ years. And I've never given up, but I've done all kinds of diets. I did the calorie counting. And then the next thing I did was I kind of knew that didn't work. And so I didn't really try that again. I did keto. I did a lot of fasting. Fasting was one that I stuck with for a while. I did like intermittent fasting where I fasted for 16 hours a day. And then I tried, 4 hours and I tried OMAD and I tried alternate day fasting. I did that for like almost 6 months where I literally every other day I didn't eat anything. And now I can't imagine going an entire day without eating. And then I found plant-based and I found your YouTube channel. And when I first saw you, I was like, oh, this is such a good idea. I was like, just eating like simple, like real whole foods, like potatoes. And I didn't really like vegetables at the time. So I was like, oh, I was more focused on the starch part. But I was kind of like, I don't know about this like no oil thing. I was like, So I kind of like, I don't know. I still watched your videos, but I wasn't really like eating the same way. And then I was able to lose some weight and then I fell off of it. I started eating like Panda Express and like just the junk foods I was eating before. And then I was like, okay, I got to get back to this plant-based thing. I watched some more of your videos. I watched more of your client interviews. And then I was like, okay, I need to figure this out. I was like, we're going to sell our house. We're going to have a little bit extra money. It's like, maybe it's time to invest in myself. And then I scheduled that call with you. And here we are like 8 months later. Actually, I guess it's been 9 months now.
9 months later. And how many pounds later?
I've lost over 20 pounds now. I'm coming on 25 actually. So it's really exciting. I'm finally in a healthy weight range. Yeah, if you remember during the program, I actually stepped away from the scale for a while. But once I was off, I was like, I'm going to have this interview. I want to know, like, I want to be able to say what my success is. And I wasn't like attached to the number anymore. So it's been a really healthy thing. Yeah. I'm like sitting at like 23.5 BMI. So it's exciting.
Yeah. And from your highest weight, how many pounds down are you?
80 pounds.
Wow. That's remarkable. I always
Yeah.
tell clients
Amazing.
something pretty remarkable like that, to go to a grocery store and pick up a watermelon that's like not even close to 80 pounds and be like, I used to carry 8 of these around at
Yeah.
the time. So let's go back, because you said you were 7 years old when one of your first memories regarding weight was made.
Yeah.
I hear this often from clients that it starts very young, and we carry around that thorn with us for a long, long time. And I'm reading this book called The Untethered Soul that talks about how for many people, that thorn, that instance when you were 7 years old, it's, you know, the thorn sticks in you, and then your entire life is all about that thorn and has to do with that thorn. And then there comes a time when we have to take that thorn out, take it out, and move on with the rest of our lives, instead of saying, I have this thorn in me and it's going to be in me forever. And so that's that. So I really applaud you for coming to the program and saying, I'm ready to move on from this. You know, one of the things that you came to the program for is you said, I want to feel confident in my body. I want to be really in control of this. And I want to create a next chapter for myself, as opposed to saying, this has been a part of me since I was 7 years old, so it's going to be a part of me for the rest of my life. I really applaud you for that.
Yeah, exactly. And I was tired of being so obsessed with food and like just eating when I wasn't really hungry, and not knowing like when to stop. I don't know. For some reason, for me, I think there's some people, they're more sensitive to like the processed foods and like they know when they're done. But like for me, I could just eat and eat and eat and eat. And it's just like my whole life revolved around food. And it definitely doesn't now. I mean, I've been off the program for over a month now, and I still eat the same way. I even had a whole vacation. I was gone for like over a month. And we went to Disney and everything. So I've been able to navigate my life, and this is definitely part of my lifestyle. I'm like, I still have more weight that, more fat that I want to release off my body. But I'm just kind of like enjoying the journey, and I'm like, I like how I am now. So I'm just going to keep being this way. And if my body wants to release the weight, it will. And if at some point I know it's going to, because I can kind of feel it on myself, I feel comfortable, but I'm like, okay, I still want a little bit more, but I'm just not worried about it. Like I know that it's going to happen. And at some point I know I'm going to get to the point where I'm like, okay, I don't want to lose any more weight. So then I'll add in more breads and pastas and, more like fun foods.
You had said, I'm like Ace Ventura over here with my 18 cats. You'd said earlier that you could just eat and eat and eat and eat. It didn't really matter what the food was, you just eat and eat. What was that giving you? What was the emotion that you would get from turning to the food? Pleasure, joy, numbing out, an activity that
I think it was a pleasure and numbing out, and just like, yeah, I don't know, just not wanting, it was just like, I didn't think about it, like I was just kind of like enjoying that food in that moment. And processed food, it really does have this like chemical, I mean, like I've heard that it's like a low grade drug addiction. And it has that like reaction in your brain. And now it's interesting. Like I definitely have eaten some of those foods. Like I've had, I don't know, like I probably have chips or something like that. And I'm just kind of like, like I can see why I used to eat them, but it doesn't have like the same allure that it did before. So yeah, I think just like pleasure and just numbing out and wanting to just like not think about it. And
yes, I think the not think about it, because so much of what you did beforehand was so much restriction around food that when you eat the food, it's like, oh, thank God I don't have to think about how hungry I am anymore because I'm eating. You would do 1,200 calories, you would do fasting and keto, all of these things that would leave you so hungry, so that when you finally got that time with food, it was intimate. And it was freedom from thinking about when you're going to eat next or thinking about how hungry you are. Finally, I get to eat. And when I'm eating, I don't have to think about all the pain that comes with not eating, which was such a big part of the weight loss journey for you.
Yeah, definitely. That actually reminds me of like when I was in high school. I don't remember exactly why. Maybe it was just me trying to not eat, I guess, but I would not eat a lot of times at lunch. And then I would come home and nobody would be home. And I would eat like Cheez-Its and like brownies and just crazy things. I would even like one time I made peanut butter cookies and I tried the dough and like then I got hooked on that. I would literally take peanut butter out of the jar. I would put sugar in there and mix it up and I would eat it. So like it was just like that my whole life, just this constant cycle of some kind of restriction and then not being able to avoid it anymore and then giving in and just eating horrible.
Yeah, I remember you saying that it felt all consuming and exhausting, and that you were either thinking about the restriction that you had to do or you were feeling guilty about the binge that you had just had. There was never any relief. There was no escape. It was one extreme or the other.
Right. And when I wasn't in a dieting, when I wasn't in a period of dieting, then I was just gaining weight very quickly. And then I would feel my clothes start to not fit anymore. And I'd step on the scale and I'd say, oh my gosh, and I was like, oh, okay, I have to restrict again. And it was just this up and down. I mean, I can't even tell you how many times, to the point where like at first when I lost weight, people would tell me, and you don't really want people to like focus on your body, but they notice it at first. And then it's just, you gain and lose so much. It's just kind of like, oh, she's just kind of all over the place. Mm-hmm. And now I just feel so in control. Like I didn't weigh at all while I was on that trip. And I came back and expected to have gained weight because I wasn't perfect, I ate as much of my normal SOS foods as I could. But when we were at Disney, I pretty much just stuck with their plant-based options. I ate as healthy as I could, not because I had to, but because I wanted to and because I feel so much better eating these foods. And it was really a joy. It was like a treat for me because it was like, okay, I get to eat some like fun foods, but I'm like ready to get back to my eating. And I expected to gain weight. I kind of thought like, okay, I might stay the same or I might gain a little, but I actually lost like 2 pounds. So it's just, I feel like in control now and I don't have any worries anymore of having to restrict. I don't have to worry about like, oh, I eat a lot of food. I just don't have to worry about like, I'm not going to gain weight. I'm not going to be who I was before. I'm just completely different now. So it's amazing.
Do you ever think that you would be able to say that? I mean, you went through so much with the dieting.
No, I mean, I always hoped I would get there. Like I never was willing to quit, but I don't think I ever truly believed that I was going to get there. Even when I joined the program, I don't know if you sense that hesitancy or not. I think I was ready to like just jump in, but especially even after after 8 weeks of the, SOS program, going in the master's program, I knew it worked. Like, I lost 8 pounds in those 8 weeks. So I knew it worked, but I was like, I'd kind of been at that weight before. And I was like, what if this is just like every other time? But I went ahead and I was like, okay, I feel better than I felt. I'm like, this feels like it's working. So I'm just going to take that step and go into and I didn't know that I'd be here now. Mm-hmm. I've seen all your client interviews. I'm like, okay, that's them, but it's not me. And I've been doing this forever. Nothing works. So
we're all the magical unicorn. And I say to people, like, oh, it's an entire program of magical unicorns because everybody I talk to says, yeah, it's great for them, but it's not going to work for me. Every single person says that. And I like that you acted on that little piece of hope that said, maybe this will work for me. Because whether you believe you can or you believe you can't, you're right. And everybody is capable of doing this, but not everybody will, because they will choose to believe that it won't happen for them. But for the people that are brave enough to take the chance and take the risk, as you were and you did, it pays off.
It was so worth it. I did not think that 8 months later I would be here. And I can only just imagine like where I'm going to be in a year. Like I know right. I'm going to get there. I know I'm going to release. I know I have more weight to lose, and I'll get. I know I'm going to get to the point where, because I eat so many vegetables, I'm going to get to the point where my body's like, okay, maybe it's time to like add some more rich things. And I don't know. I'm just so enjoying the journey. It's just amazing. I cannot say enough about like how happy I am that I joined the program, because I really was. I was really, I was really iffy on the masters. I was like, do I really want to do this? And I'm just so glad that I did. Like, I wish I had done it earlier.
Glad that you did it too. So for people that are listening and they say, this is me, I've done so many diets before. I want to do something like this. I want to do the whole plant-based thing, but I don't want it to turn into another diet. What would you say to that person? What did you do going into this program and this way of eating that was different than the past that's actually making this one stick?
Yeah. I feel like the biggest thing was all of the mindset stuff in your program. Like, it really taught me to like focus on health. Once I started focusing on the health aspect, you know, like I wanting to eat foods and focus on how like foods actually made my body feel, that's what made the biggest difference for me. Because in the beginning, and I would say, before I go into the other, I would say that you really have to like be kind to yourself. And in the beginning, it's what's most matters is doing something that's sustainable for you. So like at the beginning, there were times where I was just so busy, I hadn't prepared properly. And so, you know, I ended up eating Taco Bell. You know, I ate like a bean and cheese burrito. So, and it didn't have, you know, cheese on it and stuff, but I know they have oil in there. It wasn't the healthiest thing I could be eating. But I always just had to move on. And it's always about what you do at the next meal that counts. You know, when it's normal and when you can eat SOS, are you going to eat SOS? And also knowing that your taste buds really do change. And I think I think some of it happens over like, you know, 3-4 weeks, but some of it I think happens over the long term. Like I really have grown to love vegetables. And I kind of thought after my vacation for a month, I thought, oh, you know, I haven't had, well, I mean, I guess it was only a week that I really didn't eat hardly any SOS foods. I had to eat prepared meals. I was like, oh gosh, what if my taste buds have completely changed? What if I don't like my broccoli anymore? No, it was like amazing. I was like, oh, I wish I could have just eaten this the whole time, but I couldn't, you know? So yeah, just don't be afraid that like thinking that you're never going to enjoy the foods. Like you have to figure out what works for you. Like for me, I really didn't. So at first I started like air frying my broccoli and it was okay. I didn't love it. I would eat it, but I didn't love it. And then I started getting the frozen bags and I tried that. And then I put lemon and nutritional yeast because I saw one of your videos that you said that's delicious and it was amazing. And that's the way that I eat it. So your taste buds will change over time. You'll find yourself like really craving those foods over anything else. Like I think people, I was around a lot of other people who weren't eating like I do. And they're just like, oh, don't you just want just a little, or, you know, like, it's okay. You know, you're thin, you can have like, and I'm like, I just don't want it. You know, like I know how I'm going to feel tomorrow. And so just focusing on that health, I think like a lot of it has been now that I'm like at a healthy weight. Yeah, I could probably enjoy like, you know, pizza every Friday if I wanted to, or something like that. And I might even still lose weight, but it doesn't make me feel good. Mm-hmm. And so it's really just become a focus on health. And I'd never, if I do have something, I don't beat myself up about it. I just move on, and it's about health in the long term. It's about what I do in my day to day. And I don't even really think about it anymore. When I was preparing for this interview, I was like, I got to think about, because it's just so second nature to me now that I like just do it and I enjoy it.
Mm-hmm. When you focus on health, you lose weight as a side effect. But when you focus on weight loss, you lose health as a side effect.
I've heard you say that so many times, and I'm just like, but it's so true. It's so true.
I know. And I want to, at the beginning of the program, I wish that I could teleport to wherever a client is and shake them and say, no, I really need that. I promise you, you will lose weight if you focus on health. And you know, what do you have to lose? You've tried it all, right? You've done every diet on the planet. So let's try it this way and see if it works. Let's see if we focus on health. What will happen if I do that? So I, again, applaud your bravery of trying something different this time. And, you know, to the people listening that are like, I've tried it all, it's not going to work for me. Well, if you've tried it all, then why don't you try this new way and go in 100%? What do you have to lose?
Yeah. I would say the other thing that just came to me is also patience, because so I lost 8 pounds during that first 8 weeks. And then I kind of hit a plateau. I mean, I lost like a few more pounds, and then I was kind of staying the same, and I was kind of getting frustrated, and I was so focused on that number because, again, I was focused on the weight loss. But really, when I stepped away from the scale and when I focused on the health and I was just patient with the process and I trusted the process, that's what really allowed me, because obviously I've lost a lot since I started the masters, over 10 pounds now. But it was difficult there for a minute, because I was kind of impatient and I felt like other people were losing weight faster. Why is it not working for me? I really started to question at that point whether or not it was going to work for me. But I think my body needs extra fats, because we added in fats, and that really has helped a lot. And I still do that now. I think my body just loses weight a little bit slower. But as soon as I just stopped worrying about the number, it just made all the difference. So just be patient and trust the process.
Mm-hmm. Patience. If you can be patient, you can do anything, truly, because you can master any skill, you can achieve any goal that you set for yourself, so long as you're patient with it. And impatience, how has that gone for us in the past? If we have to lose all this weight right this second, sure, we can do that through an unsustainable method and then regain it all. So your patience, yeah, exactly. The rebound weight gain. So your patience was something I very much admired about you as well. So you didn't love vegetables at the beginning. How did you learn to love them? How did you grow to love them? What would you say to the person listening that's like, oh my gosh, that is me. I want to do this, but veggies, I just can't do it.
Yeah. I did not grow up with a family that ate vegetables. I never ate any vegetables. The only vegetables I would eat would be a salad with like Thousand Island dressing and a lot of it, and croutons and bacon and cheese. So I hear you.
Island soup with some lettuce sprinkled on top.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, I could definitely do veggies on a salad, but broccoli was, I'm telling you, even fruits. I only liked apples and bananas. And I had you'd have to peel the apple or I wouldn't eat the skin. And now I love all kinds of fruits. It's funny. I see stuff at the store and I'm like, oh my gosh, that looks so good. I'll pick it up and then it's amazing. And I just get to taste so many more flavors. So with the vegetables, I really think part of it was mental. I just kind of had to like say, okay, if I eat this, I'm going to eventually like it. Maybe at first, like you could put it in something. So like maybe like for me, a big thing that I eat every single day is burrito bowls. I love my burrito bowl. It's like literally, I wish you guys, because the thing is when I take pictures of stuff, you guys can't see the portion size. You see a picture, but you don't really know how big the bowl is. The bowl I make, it's like literally this big. Like it's bigger than my head. Like one of the salad bowls that you would basically feed an entire family salad out of. That's what I make my burrito bowl in, and I fill it like to the brim. So I do like greens and brown rice and beans, and I use salsa as like my dressing to kind of like, combine everything together. For me, since I add in fats, I do like just a little bit of guacamole. I'll throw some peppers on there and some like jalapenos or whatever. I like spicy, so that's how I do it. But for me, I still haven't really done like salads just plain, but that's kind of how I get my greens in. So maybe for some people they can do salad with balsamic vinegar, and I can do that, and it's fine. And I probably enjoy it now. I haven't really tried it in a while because I just love my burrito bowls, and that's how I use my greens. But it's all about finding something, being willing to try, even if it's just at the beginning, you have to just put a little bit in and then slowly work up your quantity. If that's what it takes, it's better to be eating mostly starch with a little bit of vegetables and slowly increase over time than to say, oh, just forget the whole thing. I can't do it because I don't like vegetables. So I think trying different things, incorporating it in something else, if that's what you need to do, if you need to make a recipe, throw broccoli in your soup or whatever. And it's all about, I think you can enjoy almost any vegetable or any food. You just have to find the way that you like it cooked. And that's what Beth always says. And it's true, because like the broccoli at first I would eat it, I air fried it and it was okay. But once I found that frozen bag of broccoli, that's how I love it. Another one for me is Brussels sprouts. I love Brussels sprouts and I love them fresh. I think they're really good fresh, but they're just such a pain. I'm like, I don't have the patience to sit there. I mean, I do sometimes, but not for my everyday. So for me, finding the frozen bag of Brussels sprouts, well, first I put them in the microwave, and they were just too soggy for me. I know that you like microwave them for like 25 minutes or something, right?
I do. Guilty.
Yeah, I should probably try that. But what I do is I microwave them first because it's like a steamable bag that I get at Walmart. By the way, Walmart is like the best for frozen vegetables because broccoli is $1. Brussels sprouts are $1.27, at least where I am. I know I'm really weird about remembering prices of things. But so I'll heat it up in the microwave and then I'll transfer it to my air fryer. And then I will put it in there for like 15 minutes. And so they're still like kind of, they still have more water than a fresh one would, but they're like more crispy on the outside. And I really love that. I think it's all about being willing to try something new. You got to just kind of, I hate to say like force yourself. If you really don't like it, then you got to find another way. There's going to be some way that you'll like it. And over time, your taste buds really change.
Yeah. And, there has to be some discomfort with any life change that we make, or else we're not making a change. So it's going to embrace some discomfort at the beginning, but your taste buds will adjust. There's really no way to make that happen without taking that first bite and being like, okay, this is different. Different doesn't necessarily mean bad or painful, but you kind of have to go through that little period of discomfort.
Yeah. And sauces can also be something that at least helps a little bit. Like for me, carrots, I would like air fry carrots. I don't air fry them now. I just have them like steamed up because my taste buds have changed, but I air fried little carrot fries and I would dip them in ketchup. I know it sounds weird, but I'm like, you got to just find what works for you, and like ketchup, and like mustard or whatever you like. Like I love Dijon mustard. So I use that on a lot of stuff. And yeah, you just have to embrace the discomfort and it really will change. Because I can eat vegetables. Anybody on this planet can eat vegetables because I never touched them my whole life. I didn't start eating vegetables like literally last year. So,
I mean,
well, maybe the year before I was starting to sprinkle them in, but yeah.
The only green thing I would eat was like a spree or a sweet tart that was artificially colored green. I did not eat vegetables either. We ate ziti every night for dinner and no vegetables in sight. So I am right there with you. You can really train your body to love these things. What you eat today, you crave tomorrow.
Yep. And things will happen naturally that you don't even expect. Like for me, I don't even really use salt and a lot of seasonings anymore. And I remember when I saw you on your channel saying that, I was like, that's weird. Like who doesn't use seasoning on food? I mean, and I still do. Like I still put my lemon and nutritional yeast on my broccoli, but like my potatoes, I don't ever add salt to them. I don't ever mash them up. Not because it's not good that way, but it's just, I don't know. I kind of just naturally stopped using that stuff because I started to really taste the food. Like one thing recently, and I wouldn't recommend this for weight loss, but I started eating a little bit of popcorn recently just because I've been so busy. Just this last week or so that we've been back. But not popcorn like out of the, that you get microwaved, at the store because they put lots of oil and stuff in there. I put it in a paper bag and I pop it. And I thought I never would have thought I would like popcorn without all the butter and the salt and stuff, but it's amazing. And you finally get to taste the foods for what they are. And you realize the other junk, it's like, okay, it makes like this kind of like explosion of flavor, but you don't need that. And it still tastes really good by itself.
Well done.
Yeah.
So what did you do during the journey? Because it's not all sunshine and rainbows. When we first get into the program, we always hear about before the program, then after the program. But during the program, there are some difficult emotions that would come up. Can you talk about any of the difficult emotions that came up? Impatience or frustration or feeling down on yourself, and how you worked through them?
Yeah. I mean, there were definitely, obviously the frustration of, especially during, at the first couple months of the master's program, it was like the first couple months I was pretty stable. I might've lost like a pound those first 2 months. So that was pretty frustrating, especially because I felt like I was being so good. And I didn't really understand, what was going on. Trusting you. And then once we added the fats, that definitely helped. But there were also times where I would get in a situation, and there's just some situations where like maybe for you, you stay at home a lot. So that probably makes it a lot easier. But my life, I'm kind of all over the place. Like I'm not always at home. Definitely more lately, but last year was a year of change. I mean, I moved during the program. I moved states. I went on like a month. I've been on like month-long trips. I took a lot of I've moved around a lot. And so I was in a lot of situations sometimes where I couldn't be perfect. And I always felt it was hard for me for a while to kind of eat, even if it was part of my plan. Part of my system is if I'm really in a situation where I cannot make it work, I'm just gonna, if I have to eat something that's not the best, I need to just do that and move on. Don't make an excuse for it. Don't be like, oh, well, there's that Taco Bell right there. I'm not at home. It sounds really good. I don't try to force it, but if it just really ends up that way, there were times during this past trip where I had Taco Bell with beans and rice, and that's the best that I could do. And I had to learn to just forgive myself, I don't even need forgiveness. It's food. Like I was hungry and I needed to eat, and it was better to do that than to starve myself. So for me, it was really hard. I felt really guilty a lot, and it was hard to let go of that guilt and to start realizing that I don't need to feel guilty about eating food. I just try to make the best decisions for me, if that makes sense.
I always tell clients that there's a jail a couple miles from my house. And I go, I drive by the jail and I think, I wonder what these men did to land themselves in here. And I don't think it's that they ate Taco Bell on a Thursday night when they were traveling and going to their new apartment and had been out and about all day long. I don't think that's what did them in and made them guilty. So guilt being something that we use in terms of the legal system, having absolutely no place in describing our food decisions.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely.
And it's tough to accept that there's good, better, best when you come from a background of such hard and fast, strict dieting, right, wrong, good, bad, and so to do something else where it's okay, we're going to do the best that we can during this time and move on. And that's that. It's kind of weird for the classic dieter. Usually it's, oh, well, I already had Taco Bell, so, I may as well give me an extra round of chips and a Slurpee to go with it. But you didn't do that. You just kept putting one foot in front of the other.
Yeah. It's all about taking it one step at a time and having grace. And for me, the master's program is really where the main change happened, because I can only imagine if I had just quit after the 8 weeks, not quit, but quit the program. I don't know. I don't really know what would happen, because I would have hit that plateau. I wouldn't have known what to do. It was really during that time that I released that guilt. And like I said, I just went on this vacation and I have zero guilt. I didn't eat over a whole week. I did not eat, SOS. Yes, I have vegetables and things, but, actually Disney has a lot of really good plant-based options.
Yeah.
But, I knew that they had oil and stuff like that, and it wasn't ideal, but, I enjoyed it and I moved on, and I never felt guilty about it. And what's that saying you always say? It says, that you suffer twice. I forget exactly how it goes.
Yeah. Well, I say when you worry, you only suffer twice, but also don't add insult to injury too. If you're having something that's non-SOS, you don't need to beat yourself up for it on top of that. Just accept it and move on. It is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. And just be patient with yourself, because it definitely takes time. It definitely took time for me to get to the point where I don't feel guilty, and where it's like I don't have to feel guilty about food because it's just food. It doesn't happen overnight, but if you don't give up, for me, this is the only way. I will never eat the way that I did before. And I will say I also ate, so I made quite a few plant-based desserts over the holidays. I made pumpkin chocolate chip cookies, and I made this apple strudel, and it was all whole food, plant-based, no oil. And I did that mainly because I wanted my family to see, hey, something can really taste good. You don't need all that extra stuff. And I ate way more of that stuff than I normally would. But now, I'm it's not the holidays anymore. I'm not sitting there making those cookies. I'm not even thinking about it. Just move on, and you can find things that you enjoy and make them in a much healthier way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Is there anything we haven't chatted about that's important to your journey, or you think that would really help people?
I want to just shake them in the, I want to reach my hands out through the screen and shake them. Just patience.
Yes.
and you just have to trust the process. Patience, trust the process, and just trust that your body will change, your taste buds will change. And if you're committed, you have to be committed. Even when you fall off, even if you do something where you eat something you weren't supposed to eat or whatever, that wasn't part of your plan for your ideal plan.
Hindsight is 2020, right? So you've gone through the program, you're in a healthy BMI. And so now you understand, okay, patience was the key, but we can only act our way into thinking. We can't think our way into acting. And if I would have told you that before you were at the healthy BMI, you would have been like, shut up, Emmie. I don't care about that. But now that you're on the other side, you're like, no, seriously. So if you take one thing away from this, people listening, please be patient. And Laura is a beautiful example of that.
Yeah, it will happen. It will happen. And it's still happening.
What primary foods have you been digging into now that your brain isn't taken up by the food thing?
Yeah, I do all kinds of stuff. I have lots of hobbies. So now I actually volunteer at the food bank at my church, taking walks and things like that. I crochet a lot too. I have this little group at my church, so I have more time to focus on that. And I'm just all over the place. I do all kinds of stuff. I have like house projects I've been working on. I'm like super high energy. And so now I actually have the energy, like I'm always going, I'm always doing something. And now I have the energy to focus on that versus sitting in front of my computer and watching YouTube videos and trying to figure out like what my next diet is or what my next meal is. It's so freeing. Yeah. Primary foods are a big thing too. Anytime I was really struggling, like, okay, I really want X or something, like one time my husband, we had literally gotten out of the gym and he wanted Pizza Hut. And I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, are you kidding me? Now I'm already hungry because I've been like, working up an appetite at the gym. And now I have to sit here with this pizza, like in the car, and I have to smell it. And so I was just thinking about, if he was like, oh, you just have a slice. I'm like, no, I don't want that. I had to think about, okay, what am I going to do when I get home to distract myself from this pizza? I'm gonna, I don't even remember what I did, but distracting yourself with primary foods and other things like rewarding yourself. A lot of times you think, okay, I'm going to reward myself with a brownie or whatever it is. And now I reward myself with going shopping for new clothes or, whatever else it is. So, yeah.
I love it. I love a high energy gal.
Yeah.
And somebody like you, you have a beautiful brain, so much going on that I wouldn't want you to be thinking about food all the time. I'd want you to be able to be going and doing the things that you and your husband love to do.
Yeah. Yeah. It's been amazing. My life is completely changed because of you and because of this program. So I'm just so grateful. I'm so grateful. And I just hope that somebody watching this makes the decision to jump in and do it because it's life-changing.
Thank you for sharing your story and being so vulnerable and open and honest. You are amazing, Laura.
So are you, Emmie.
Thanks.
I'm so excited to see where your program goes and just how many more people you help because
thank
it's been amazing.
If you made it to this point of the video, comment freedom because that is what Laura puts forth, this feeling of freedom, finally being free from this yo-yo dieting cycle. Thank you so much, Laura, for doing this interview. You were such a joy to spend almost a year with, and I look forward to seeing you soar even more. All right, my honeys, I love you, and I'll see you in my next video. Woo!